Alex and Johnny now, respectively. Alex, the filmmaker. Johnny's is the main actor from the film Disillusioned.
One of.
Yeah, one of the main actors. The main actor.
One of the beautiful main actors from the film. Actually, Joshua DeRoche from the film is nominated for Best Lead Actor.
Everyone involved in this. Have you got a severely good-looking? Did you sort of go to cast very good-looking people?
Yes.
I let a lot of the cast actually cast each other. So I guess
beautiful people just hang around
beautiful people hang around beautiful people. But,
Christ,
and then they let me write it for them, which was nice of them to include me in their Beautiful People Club as well.
Well, anyway, welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And lovely to meet you, Johnny. Thank you. And I think you're going to give us a sort of a synopsis.
Yeah. Disillusioned is a story about 4 friends growing up in Los Angeles. The premise behind it was that I wanted to take friends and be able to show how comedy is used as a defense mechanism inside of real life situations. So I often call this project Friends if all their BS life decisions actually had consequences. So there's actual consequences for the action. So when we come in to the 4 main characters, one's just getting out of a serious relationship. The party guy of the group is struggling with substance abuse issues, played by Johnny here. The handsome girl getter of the group is a closeted homosexual.
Yeah, now hang on, they are all good-looking people.
They are all good-looking, yeah. And
when for the cast, not good-looking enough, not good-looking enough.
Well, you know, part of LA is looking good, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Just on a serious note, do you know each other before you put this together?
Yeah, Johnny and I actually, my thesis film from film school, I was lucky enough to have him in that, and I brought him and Ryan Walsh, another great actress, over to this one, and it was.
Yeah, I worked on a short film together, and actually screened it in Killarney.
Yeah.
At the Kerry Film Festival. But we were flying in a plane, and I was very similar to myself in this one. Pretty rude and crude.
Oh, what? Sorry, from where you've been before? Sorry,
the project that
the
we
project
worked on
before.
together.
Oh, okay,
prior,
right, okay, yeah. So did you? So I'm guessing that when you put he was in mind from the off, or did you sort of bring him even before you started putting this together?
Yeah, Johnny was definitely in my mind from the beginning. From the previous film, I had the perfect character for him. He's the substance abuse having party guy of the group.
No personal history.
Which is something we
Maybe.
both have a personal history with. Yeah.
So in terms of putting the whole project together, I know you kind of know who you're going to cast generally, but even so, we're sort of laughing and joking about it, but the truth is putting any film together is painful, isn't it? Because there's always going to be issues or things that just don't work out, and you know, or hurdles you've got to jump over. So can you give us an idea of what this entailed?
Yeah, just to start with casting. Casting was actually a really cool process for this because I knew I liked Johnny and I knew I liked Ryan from the projects before, and having done LA casting for things. And just had people come in, give amazing, do an amazing job in rehearsal, and then show up on set and finding very different things. For this, I decided to take a couple actors who I knew and liked, and have them actually pull their friends because I knew they would want people around them that looked good, and that was actually how we did a majority of the casting for the leads. Was actually a group of people that had all taken classes together.
We already had a chemistry, built in. We'd all work together on different scenes in class. And, so instead of going through the typical casting process and then having chemistry reads with each other is like,
because that's the big thing.
Yeah,
that's the big thing. Because I suppose the nightmare is, and I'm sure it didn't happen, but God forbid, say you probably know this leading. Everything seems great. The chemistry read is perfect. You're like, these are absolutely the guys.
Yeah.
And then you get, I don't know if this has ever happened. Then you start filming. You're like, fuck, this is not happening.
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't happen with this film. But
Yeah.
I suppose you've got to be aware that might happen. I mean, has that happened before?
Yeah, that was something that happened to me enough in film school to know that I didn't want to do that going forward. Did about half and half that with my thesis project that Johnny was in, and then decided to give it a full shot on this one, and I personally think it worked out great. both in terms of chemistry on screen, and then I feel that it's really important in a comedy. I feel like you can really tell in a comedy when people are having fun on set as well, or when it's a tough set. And so it was important to me to keep that chemistry going.
And I always think, sorry.
When the camera was on, when the camera was off.
Absolutely. And I always think, which I keep saying is my personal belief, that writing anything is bloody difficult. Writing anything to a film is fucking difficult. But
yeah.
By the way, you can't swear, obviously.
Okay. I know. I just realized that, and I was going through my head throughout this entire thing, like, all right, what word? What word?
Swear? Don't use a C word.
What word should I use instead of shit here? But I'm just going to use shit.
But I think comedies is the most difficult, because you've got to, and I touched on this yesterday with some other filmmakers. First of all, you've got to get the beat, and you've got to get the comedy. But then again, you must be well aware that you come up with a line that's funny on the script, even funny on the screen, may not necessarily translate to a particular audience. It might work brilliantly for West Coast, but like a UK audience or it might fall flat on its face.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's a risk you've got to take.
Yeah, I actually think that this has been doing better over here than it has in America, because I think the humor in this is a little bit more subtle, a little bit more real, and I think America.
Do you know, it's amazing exactly what that filmmaker who, done a comedy that I suppose said exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same thing. She said, over here, she doesn't know what it is, but they get perhaps more of the subtlety. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
No worries. And it's been kind of great to see people coming and getting all of the subtleties rather than just the big, funny, obvious lines. But so that's been really nice. And one of the things with a comedy, which makes it so difficult, I think, is everyone thinks, you don't really have to come up with the storyline because you can just layer it with funny and that. But no, comedy, you have to come up with a solid storyline and then basically spend an entire script shitting on your great storyline to make it funny, which is a process I love.
And of course, it's not. I know we label this as comedy, but the fact is that most comedies have some kind of serious element to it as well.
Yeah.
Because this isn't just about the four main characters, and I know that with the fun part of it, there is going to be serious messages in here as well.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's the balance you've got to pull off as well, isn't it? And often at the end, particularly the ending, I've noticed a lot of comedies, as they get towards the end, it does often become more serious.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always that weird point in most comedy movies where all of a sudden there's like 20 minutes where they have to get serious. So this one doesn't have that up and down. It's just kind of got a steady pace of people being people and hopefully being funny throughout it.
Yeah. And if the audience doesn't laugh at one of the jokes, I just laugh harder.
Oh, because that's the other thing. Yeah, because that's the other thing. You might be sitting there and the punchline's coming up, and it's worked really well before, and suddenly it's like nothing.
It's like crickets.
It's tumbleweed rolling through.
It's been funny because depending on what screening it is, like different lines get different laughs.
Yeah.
Without explanation as to quite why the laugh's there in one screening and not there in the next, but it's been fun to see.
And who would like to tell me, perhaps you both would, how hard it is for filmmaking in general in LA? How difficult is it? I mean, I'm constantly looking for work. I don't know. I'm just kind of putting words in your mouth, but perhaps you can give us an idea, a flavour of it. Because most people I know, obviously I speak to a lot of people, so I can't get it, but it's for people that are thinking, I'm moving to LA because of this. But what's the absolute reality?
Of the shooting process?
In general.
No, you want to start this one? From the
Sure.
actor point of view?
I mean, from an actor's point of view,
I mean, it's very difficult, but it's just anything's difficult. But if you're persistent, you'll find a way eventually.
Yeah.
But if you're doing independent filmmaking, I've been fortunate to be a part of a lot of the projects, and always the biggest obstacle is accruing finance. And there's many different ways to do that. Kickstarter and what's the other famous one?
Indiegogo.
Yeah.
Those are ways that I've been on some projects that have done that. Others are just private investors and getting lucky, and a lot of other creative ways that may not necessarily be legal. I haven't been a part of those, but I've heard about them.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah. But I mean, that always seems to be the most difficult part. But once you start getting, I think, that first kind of big chunk of financing, and you're like, fuck it, let's go for it.
Yeah.
You figure out a way, and you get the people on board, and if they're good people that are committed to the project, it's a fun experience. I mean, it's going to be difficult, I think, anywhere you go. But the beautiful thing about Los Angeles is you have so many talented people in every department, whether it's the actors or director, camera department, lighting, gaffing, all that stuff, and you've got a lot of wonderful locations as well.
Because you are blessed, basically, aren't you? On the West Coast, it is absolutely staggeringly.
Yeah. And
certain parts.
so does
Except for in the summer, it's super hot and super humid.
Well, just too much to deal with. Seriously, is it just too much?
Sometimes. Yeah.
So this time of year, when we're in May, so I'd imagine it's pretty good over there at the moment.
Yeah, we shot this in mid-April, and we were in the valley, and one of the days it got up to like 100 degrees, but luckily the house we were shooting at had a pool, so at lunchtime we all kind of got in the pool.
What's 100 degrees in Celsius? You know how to do this, man.
Yeah, 32, 35.
Yeah, 30, 35. Oh, they say double it and add 30 approximately, didn't they? 30, that's bloody hot.
Yeah.
I know when we was in Madrid last year, the festival in July, which is coming up obviously in a couple of months, and that was 110 like every day. And it's the same, I'm sure, for you when you're shooting. It's as though someone's put a hairdryer on you. It doesn't matter, and this was like 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just unbearable. Literally, everything's air conditioned.
Yeah.
You just can't wait to get kind of indoors again. It's just like horrific. Mind you, we've got a swimming pool there. Happy days.
Yeah.
So you don't ever feel like, or do you ever feel like thinking the rat race of filmmaking, giving it up?
To take what Johnny said from the production side, everything's a nightmare in LA. I think we went through 3 different budgets on this. Because you get a location, you have that location price, and you're like, cool, I get to shoot here for $300 a day, and then you pay permits to film LA, and then because you paid permits to film LA, you have to get X amount of insurance, and then one of your actors is SAG, which instantly bumps, everything up another 100%. So, from our original budget, we very quickly found that we needed double that, and we're lucky enough to get that financing. But once it's there, we had a great production team surrounding me. I kind of love thriving in chaos, but once we were on set, everyone just kind of clicked, got on the same page. It was a smooth 5-day shoot all around Los Angeles. We got some beautiful locations, including some shots on the canal, and couldn't be happier with the final product, and it's nice to see it getting a good reception here. It's really warms my heart.
Thank you. And when you're actually shooting on set, I mean, are you okay? If, for instance, Johnny would say, I don't think this is working. It's not how I think it would work this way. And are you open to suggestions about?
Yeah, this was actually a pretty collaborative process. I think at least with each of the 4 main actors, at some point I sat down with each one of them individually and went over their character, and we did a lot of rewriting inside of that, and then we got them all together for 2 rehearsals. And because the shoot is going so quick, we said this is the time for improv. So we had a couple long rehearsals and we improv. So the script was in flux until a couple days before, as we helped. Everyone brought their own stuff to their character and influenced the final script. Some of the locations that we ended up getting influenced the final script, I think in a great way. For instance, the 2, Johnny and Josh, weren't living in the same house together, but we got this great place with a guest house, and it actually ended up really enhancing the story that Johnny had been living in the guest house for a couple years. And
because I suppose the truth is, Johnny, is if you're behind the camera, you're constantly working, but if you're acting, I'm not saying you're necessarily constantly working, but there are going to be down times, aren't there? Because you're not, unless you're in every scene, of course, but even then I suppose you might be hanging around because you might be waiting for the shot to be set up. So, I mean, how do you sort of deal with that? Because a lot of people that are outside, again, looking and think, oh, it's really glamorous and I'd love to do it, but actually the truth is, it can be quite...
You could say it, boring.
Well, boring, I guess, because and that's just the nature of the beast, isn't it?
My set was boring?
No, yours was.
There's a lot hanging around, isn't there? I mean,
there is.
Trying to occupy your time.
And
since we were shooting this one so quickly, I mean, I think we shot it in how many,
5
5 days. It was pretty jam-packed, and I was fortunate to be in a lot of the scenes, so there wasn't as much hanging around as this one as I've been in other projects where, you get there at, 5:30 in the morning, and then you sit around until 4 p.m., and you just stay in your trailer. And, if you're a guest...
Kind of thinking, why did I get at 5:30?
Yeah, we got around this by making sure Johnny didn't have a trailer on this one.
Just on the pavement or something.
The hot pavement.
Yeah.
Gave me an ice cream cone and just let it melt in my hand. I cried. But during those times, usually, like this set, I was fortunate to know a lot of the people on there, so you can, you have people to talk to and converse with, and, I didn't have any long monologues to, be working on in between scenes.
Right, okay.
So, that it was easier to deal with on this one. It was a fun set to be on, and of course they had a great crafty. So I was always around the craft table picking, Snickers and chips and all that stuff, just beefing up.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great stuff, guys. Thank you very
All
much.
right.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. You can leave your Rolex here. It's okay. Thank you very much. You guys are cool. Thank you.
Appreciate it.